Welcome to another refreshing edition of Soul Sessions here on Dominion Television. Now, on today's show, we're going to be talking real. We're going to be talking about our mental health. Because let's be honest, life can be lifing sometimes. If it's not stress or heartbreak or just something that is struggling to take your peace away from you, it's just something that is happening. Now, my guest today is the perfect person to discuss this with us. She's a clinical psychologist and she's here to help us heal and, of course, find some calm in all the chaos. So if you feel like you've been overwhelmed or you're just struggling to find your balance, then this episode is for you. My name is Osarinoma Saba. Most people know me as the Edo Queen. Welcome to Soul Sessions.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Casts. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Welcome back to Soul Sessions over here, and like I said, we're speaking mental health just because I believe there should be a lot of awareness about it, and just so we're also clarifying some misconceptions about it as well. My guest today is a one in a million clinical psychologist who knows what she's doing, and of course we have a great history if you ask me. So please welcome Motolani Akintayo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you made out time to come.
Thank you. So exciting to see you again.
Thank
after
you.
A while.
I know, right? So I mean, straight into business, like, I was sharing with you earlier. Thankfully, I think we've started coming to the realization that yes, aside from physical health, there's also the mental health. But I feel some people are still not accustomed to what the mental health is all about. They just probably feel, oh, if you talk about mental health, you're probably a Gen Z. Or if you talk about mental health, you're probably ill or you're mad or something, right, as people would say. So how would you demystify what mental health is?
All right, thank you very much, Osare. Just like you said, I had a client who was referred to me, and then he said the moment they told him to go see a clinical psychologist, he said, do you think I'm mad? So when he came to me, the first thing I had to do for him was a psychoeducation of what it means to see a clinical psychologist. So when we talk about mental health is not necessarily about having a disorder or not. Mental health has to do with how we think, how we feel, and how we act, even in the face of adversity.
Yes.
So when we talk about mental health, as long as you think, as long as you feel, and as long as you act, mental health concerns you.
Great. I love that, description. So now, I mean, we're looking at mental health, in a tough space, in a tough environment, and we know with the way our country is these days. I remember there was a report from, I think, WHO, and even from a few news bodies where they were saying one in every, they gave the population of
One
the
in every
amount,
4.
right, are probably experiencing, something. You think about, the young people who are probably trying to make ends meet, and, they just probably, get into depression, or, they're getting anxiety and all of it. So how would you say, as an average Nigerian, how do we deal with either the burnout that we're facing working 3, 4, 5 jobs just to make ends meet, or for someone who is probably just going through a lot with all that the economy, all that the society is bringing on them?
Actually, honestly, the struggle is actually real. And I tell you that as a clinical psychologist and a psychotherapist, every day I'm vested with a lot of calls and bookings to show to you that people are going through stuffs. And without mincing words, I can tell you that it's okay not to be okay.
Right?
Yes. There are times when we can be sad. There are times when we can be anxious. And there are times that when we can be stressed. During these times, according to science, the brain releases certain stress hormones. I don't want to say all of the medical jargons,
No, feel free.
but then we have the cortisol and the adrenaline, and this hormones actually, when they are secreted actually helps you to survive and fight through life. However, when it becomes very constant, it can actually predispose a person to mental health issues. And when we talk about mental health issues, like we said the other time, it's not necessarily a big disorder like that.
True.
It can lead to symptoms like sleep problems, withdrawal, isolation, loss of appetite. And then I tell people, because mental health is not something that you touch the person's body and then the person is old. So when people hear about mental health, they're like, is it really real? Or then when, let me use your word, the Gen Z says, I'm depressed, they're like, stop pretending, stop faking it. But really, the fact that the person is not sneezing and the person is not having a temperature does not mean that the person is not actually going through a tough time. So when we talk about the tough times that we experience, currently, I tell you, from finances.
Is it
from
for
finances, because really, when you look at, parents are paying bills.
For sure.
Parents are paying bills. Youth, unemployment, and then, of course, what we get from the market system is getting higher and higher every day. So you find out that this is having a tone down on the family system. Hence, again, we have another tough time in the family system. Why? Because you find the husband going this way, the wife going this way, and then they are all stressed. Coming back home, somebody's getting angry at the other person, and because of that, we have a lot of people also coming in for couples therapy. So when I say that the stakes are high, and this topic we are treating today is actually one that we cannot exhaust in a short time. And the children are also going through a lot, some from divorced homes, some seeing their parents. Talking about this, I different scenarios play in my head of both my young teenage and adult clients, how they navigate through these times. So when we talk about how do they handle this tough time, I tell you, it's your perception of what the situation is. As much as we have tough times, someone says tough times don't last forever, but tough minds do, right? So in this case, we say tough minds do. And you can make tough minds to actually, your tough situation rather, to help you build resilience. So we tell people that it's not about what happens to you, but your reaction to what happens to you. I can keep going on and on if you allow me.
I mean, to be very honest, one of the questions I was going to ask is, can these, tough situations or experiences actually build people? But just like you've already answered, it is how you react. I mean, also from my background in psychology, we would say that it's not just how you react to something, but how you respond to something that would influence if you're going to look at it as half cup full or half cup, empty. But now my question is, on behalf of the men now, because I remember, someone having a conversation with me, and, he just kept going on and on about, you don't know what men go through, you don't know what this is this. And I'm like, what exactly is it? You guys don't talk. because there is a certain stereotype. Men don't cry. Men, they're supposed to be the big ones bearing all the responsibilities. And apparently it's like an instinct that if you're a man, you're supposed to, just take care of things, take care of the family, take care of, everything around you. So how can we probably encourage, the men that talking, crying, communicating is actually normal? Because I believe they also need it. If not, they could just like implode, and it will backfire on, family members, say the children, or, even if they're not even married, it will backfire maybe on their work or on themselves as well. So how can we encourage men to, speak up with what they're struggling with?
Okay, so one way to go about that is wellness with Osare.
Yes.
Because on a more serious note, I tell you, men go through a lot. And when I have them walk into my facility, my respect for them skyrockets. And I doff my hat for them, because I believe that those men have gone beyond the status quo and the African mentality of men don't cry. Please, men, cry too. There was this particular man, of course, confidentiality in place, that I saw who was going through tough times, like we are saying, in family, in business, and a number of things. And he did not know that he was already manifesting symptoms of mental health. It was withdrawing from so many things, involvement in the society. He was losing his appetite. He was getting angry unnecessarily. He was sad for most parts of the days. So it was when he came into my office, and then I did the initial assessment, and then we could see it in black and white that this man is moving towards major depressive disorder. That was when he knew that, wow, there is a problem. And it's always very important. So we talk about advocacy and awareness. So it's and that's why I said wellness with Osare, as well as encourage many other people who are trying to bring mental health to the forefront, so that people will know that as a man, seeking for help is not a sign of weakness.
True.
It's rather a sign of strength. Because not the ability to acknowledge that I need help is actually an evidence that you are humble enough to say that I can't do it alone. And I mean, nobody can live life in isolation, and nobody can do life alone. So when I have men do that, I respect them.
Big ones for them, big ones for them. But just like you said, when people, walk into the facility, it just shows that, what, I realize that I may need help, and I want to take steps, to actually getting this help. Now, this getting help, is what people have issue with. Now, not just because they're going to walk in, but because people have, Nigerians particularly, have this notion of, okay, you've talked about mental health, let me now, try the mental health, and then they say it's too expensive. So mental health is for the rich because other people cannot afford it. I remember someone, she was telling me how, they decided she took like a family just for everybody to just do a little consultation, and the bill she got, that she has not gone back after that. So, I mean, from your experience, really, do we say that, seeking help mentally? Because, I mean, I would generally tell people the same way you go to your doctor to do checkup. Not even that there's something wrong with you. You're just going to do checkup. You would pay for it. And when you have issues, you go to the doctor. But when people are having, maybe they're feeling some type of way, you still going to pastors. Not that they cannot give you the help, but they are not
professionals that
precisely, that are equipped. So how do we maybe slowly start debunking, the notion that mental health, treatment or mental health wellness is only for the rich? Because I believe it is accessible to every single person. So let's spread the word.
Okay, so let's do this. I tell people, when your eyes have a problem, who do you go to see?
The optician.
Optician, yes, you're right, or the ophthalmologist.
Yes.
When you are a pregnant woman, you go to see the gynecologist. Precisely. And then we have different specialists for different issues. And when you have a mental health issue, you go to see a psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist or any other mental health professional vis-a-vis. Now, my concern is when people now have mental health issues, if you can go and see your optician and pay. Funny enough, the way Osare is moving her head and the way I'm moving my hand is actually the brain that is controlling all these physical manifestations that we can see. So if you can pay your optician, why do you expect to see a mental health professional without paying? We did not go to school for free. School collected money from us, right? So while I've mentioned that, and then there's a continuing education part of mental health, just like you have for medicals. You keep paying for trainings, you
Yes.
keep growing, you keep owning your skill. However, I must tell you that mental health is not expensive as people assume. Not that you won't pay, it's just the mentality that people believe that, okay, maybe because I'm coming for talk therapy, are you not just going to talk to me? So
Say
why
somebody
should I?
cannot talk to me.
Do you understand? Meanwhile, the things that we talk about in therapy are the things that have been founded by science. The things that we have learned over time and training has exposed us to. So we are not just talking from the blues, you know. And I tell you, I've had a lot of clients that comes and say, you're a lifesaver. I'm not sure I've had any client that comes back and say, I regret doing this. Because at the end of the day, sometimes even when they have physical symptoms and then maybe the doctors refer them to us, they just realize that the physical symptoms they were having was a result of the mental problems that they were actually having. So at the end of the day, you know, I remember one of my friends when you were talking, a teens coach who told me that she wanted to refer somebody for clinical assessment, and then the minute she told the person that this is the amount, the person said, I'm fine.
Automatically.
I'm fine, nothing is wrong with me again, you know.
Wow.
But if you are having appendicitis or you have a problem with your child while you're in pregnancy, if the doctor asks you to look for 1 million, you call the whole family. But the truth is, many of those things we do when it comes to mental health are preventive. So when you don't take those steps now, it becomes very tough issues later on, disorders, you know, and that's when the exorbitant prices starts coming, and then you ask yourself, why didn't I do this from the outset? So in actual sense, it's not that mental health is expensive, it's just the way people perceive that it should be free.
I think that's why this psychoeducation is very important. Let's start to change the narrative. If you know you need help, even if you are not sure, better to know that, you know, because I don't even think that you would even, if anybody walks into, you know, maybe some therapy or to see a psychologist, the same way they will say if you want to go into a business place, they will not let you leave without buying something. You would at least maybe uncover something that was hidden, something repressed, something you've not dealt with. So it's not like, oh, I don't have any problem, but I mean, if you're not sure or you just feel like, you know what, let me just do a little update on my mental health, just go talk, and, you know, you would find some, you know, level of relief, you know, after. It's not just somebody talking to you, to be very honest. These are professionals. So, I mean, we're going to have our activity, right? If not, we can keep going on and on. Definitely. So we're going to go on a break. When we get back, we're going to have Dr. Motolani Akintayo take us through our activity. Mental health is very important. Stay with us. It is still Soul Sessions here on Dominion Television. I still have Motolani with me in the studio. We've been talking about mental health, just demystifying all the myths we have around it. And of course, we're doing psychoeducation because every single person needs to be well and sound, even mentally. So it's time for our activity. So I'm just going to hand over to you to lead us through this session. What do you think we're going to be doing?
Okay, so we have a number of activities that can help people to understand mental health practically. But today we'll be doing one that is quite simple that I call breathing technique. So you can do this as often as you can in your house, in your home, in your office, because we tend to have a lot of people who just walk like a jackal and then they don't take breaks. Okay, so this is how it goes. Okay, so it's called 4-7-8 method. 4-7-8 method. So the idea is that you're supposed to inhale or breathe in with a mental count of 4. Then hold your breath with a mental count of 7. Then gradually exhale, meaning breathe out with your mouth opened gradually with a mental count again of 8. So, Osara, do you get that?
Okay.
So, do we want to try that? So,
Yeah,
you close
sure.
your mouth. Can we go that way? Close your mouth. So, we'll count 4. All right. Hold your breath. 7. And gradually release. Count 8 gradually.
At the same time.
Actually, because we actually counted 8,
Yeah,
you know. And
wow.
how did you feel after doing that?
To be honest, sometimes when you see people talk about this, you'll be like, but I mean, there is some level of relief, especially when you do it well.
Yes.
Because I believe you're supposed to clear your mind as well. Just, focus on your breath, so you recenter and you really will feel some form of relief.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, nice. How often should we do this?
As often as possible.
Okay.
As often as possible. Of course, there are other activities like the mindfulness, like we look around and we count how many white things are here. It's just a way of distracting yourself from whatever challenge that you're going through at that particular time. So you're trying to be present in the moment. So I can say, Osara's shirt is white. All right, my cameraman is having a touch of white.
Okay.
Okay. Amazing. I'm also
You're
having a touch
white.
of white. But that way we just moved our hearts away from the fact that we're having an interview and then we just moved on to being mindful about the environment. So it just tones down the anxiety in the atmosphere. And so there are a lot of other words. I've had clients who do some of these things who have had problem with sleeping in previous time. And then they come back and they said, I was able to sleep well.
Sleep
because,
like a baby.
Yes, because they did it constantly. So it actually works.
Amazing,
doing it often.
amazing. So we've done the breathing exercise. It's not just for people who sing, okay?
Yes. So
Breathing exercise can be for anyone, and of course the mindfulness when you're faced with a lot of anxiety and you're just a little distracted and you need to center yourself back. Just look for a few things that can take your attention off of it. So before we go, 2 things. I want you to let us know what it is like when someone comes to the realization that, okay, I need help. So, like if it's a hospital, that you go to the hospital, you probably see a matron, you get a card, you get to see a doctor, you get medication. So is it the same process? Because we're also trying to educate people so they know that, okay, 1, there's value for your money, and 2, is actually not that deep. Okay, you don't necessarily have to be running around the streets, looking funny before you need to, get some help. So what's that process like?
Okay, so the process is very simple. Like just before I came into the interview today, somebody called me and said, okay, so somebody is in need of help, seems to have a gambling issue. How do we go about it? He's trying to attempt suicide because he's mismanaged funds, so there are issues. So it's as simple as that. So the person reached out to me, how do we make this happen?
Okay.
And so one thing is reach out to get a professional,
Okay.
right, to help out. The professional is definitely going to give you like an intake awareness of what to do. For example, when people come to us, we let them know, okay, we have initial session. This is what initial session entails. The initial session is what will help us arrive at a diagnosis, and from then we will determine the number of sessions you are going to have that way. So sometimes people think that when they have issues with their health, mental health particularly, they just need to take medications and injection, what we call pharmacology. And we tell them it's not always like that.
Yes.
Sometimes all you just need is psychotherapy, all you just need is talk therapy. And I've seen a lot of people with what layman call talk therapy anyway. I've seen a lot of people take psychotherapy, and just with psychotherapy, without having to take injection and medication, they are actually very, very fine. So when you discover that you have a problem, the first thing is acknowledge that there is a problem. We tell people, before you can tame a thing, you have to name it. You cannot manage something that you have not come to acknowledge. So first and foremost, acknowledge the fact that, okay, I'm experiencing this thing. I am not happy. I am sad. I've been having difficulty eating. So once you acknowledge that, then put a name to it. what exactly is it? Am I supposed to see a doctor, a medical doctor?
Yeah.
Is this in the domain of mental health?
Or
Physical health, then of course, by the time you discover that it's mental health, you reach out to professionals like us who are able to help you. Usually, when it gets to the point and we discover that, okay, this particular diagnosis is severe and we need the intervention of a psychiatrist, meaning that the clients will need medication and injection, we refer to appropriate quarters for that.
Amazing. Thank you so much for, the psychoeducation, for, of course, demystifying all that, we needed to discuss today. So before you go, just share one wellness advice. This is something we do every episode. So one wellness advice you give to that one person that is watching.
Okay, so I have a number of wellness advice, but I will start with this because we are in Africa and this is Nigeria, and a lot of people believe that mental health issue has to be a spiritual thing. So when somebody is having a mental health issue, they think that there's somebody in the village that is hunting after the life of the person. While we are not saying that spirituality does not exist, of course spirituality exists, but I tell you, a lot of time God has given wisdom to medical science to help out. So if you are out there and you are experiencing any of these things, please seek help, speak out.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's been great having you, Motolani. Thank you so much for joining us on Soul Sessions. Don't worry, we'll bring you back some of that time, definitely and surely. So thank you so much, of course, for tuning in to Soul Sessions. And of course, just like we've said, your mental health is a priority. So just do what you need to do. Acknowledge the problem and, of course, seek help. And know that when you do, you are very bold and confident and brave for doing so. I am the Edo Queen. Until next time, I'm going to have another great and amazing guest to join us to explore another area of wellness. Thank you for joining us. Bye.